Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on CapnclydesMTG. And today, I got something alarming to tell you. With Innistrad Remastered coming out, everybody is either hyped or think it's a giant crap show, dumpster fire of a set. I like it. However, I think what everybody has failed to recognize is they've downshifted cards from uncommon to common, which may devastate and very well change the face of Pauper as we know it. But before we get into it, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Links into the description. Come check it out. Hang out in Discord with us. Or be a YouTube member. Hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Little as $1 to help support the channel. So let's get into it. So, mini cards have got the downgrade shift. Let's talk about the stuff that is probably the least damaging to begin with, in theory. We have Village Messenger being downshifted. 1 red for a 1/1 with haste. You may be thinking, that's not so hot. Well, it can be a 2/2 when it flips. So those red rush decks can become even faster. And to be fair, I think we're going to see more cards that have haste for 1 red. I don't think this is going to be as damaging as people think it is, and from what me and my friends discussed, but it is definitely a game changer in the format, as the more cards we get with haste for 1 red, especially those that become 2/2s, i.e., 1 red 2/2 with haste, can become very problematic in the set. But again, like I said, I think this card will probably be overshined in time, if not immediately, by other cards. Now, something else that's kind of interesting, Seize the Storm. So, this used to be an uncommon, and nobody really cared, but as a common, this could be a serious problem. Yes, it is a red and 4 mana, and I get that, but I just want you to hear it first. Create a red elemental creature token with trample. This token's power and toughness is equal to the number of instants and sorcery cards in your graveyard plus the number of cards with flashback you own in exile. It also has flashback for a red and 6. Now, with that being said, you could technically make a deck with lots of removal so that when you do cast this on turn 5, once you get to 5 mana, this thing could be a 4, a 5, 6, 7. It could be huge. And by the time you use flashback, it could be even bigger. And let's not forget, there's a lot of flashback cards that can help keep the board clear of creatures until you get to that 7 mana. So, depending on how well the removal deck is put together and the kind of removals that it uses, this card could be a serious issue in the format in a instance and sorcery deck. So, this very well here could have been a mistake. But as I mentioned, this is the lighter side of the problems, because other cards that have been downshifted are these. For 1, we have Essence Flux. 1 blue, exile target creature you control, return to the battlefield if you own it. If it's a spirit, it gets a +1/+1 counter. I want you to realize it's a 1 blue save your creature card. Also, we all know that many creatures in Pauper have enter the battlefield effect, ETB if you will. And most of those ETBs that people like say draw a card. So this is a 1 blue draw a card spell plus save your creature, block, exile it out of the way, or whatever's going on. Not to mention, this could make a Blue Moon deck in Pauper very powerful. Speaking of which, Imprisoned by the Moon has also been downshifted, meaning that it is now a blue and 2 removal spell for Pauper. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. The permanent's colorless land. It taps for a colorless, loses all other abilities. The Blue Moon deck in general in Pauper was relatively okay, but with these new cards coming in, allowing you to manipulate everything on the battlefield the way it does by exiling certain things, exiling your creatures, morphing creatures into land, having good removal. This could be a serious issue for Pauper, and could very well overpower the Blue Moon deck in the future. We'll have to wait and see, but not just Blue Moon, Essence Flux in general, to me, seems like way, way too good of a card to downshift to common. Then we have even bigger culprits. We have the Bramble Worm. These are the two different versions here you're going to see in Innistrad Remastered. And you might be thinking to yourself, why the hell does this matter in Pauper? It costs 7 colorless land, or 7 mana. Well, because Dredge. If you guys don't know, Dredge is a big thing in Pauper. The spell Exhume is very, very popular to be used to get these big powerhouses out of the graveyard and then proceed to punch your opponent in the face. The thing with this card is it's basically the perfect creature. I mean, other than the fact it's not Grizzlebrand, but it's damn close. You get this in your graveyard, it's a 7/6 with reach and trample. It's hard to block, it can block flyers, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. So when you exhume it, you gain 5 life. If you use another spell that would get it out of the graveyard that would cause you to lose life, you gain 5 when it comes into play. So as long as you've got more than 7, you're going to net gain 2 life. Or net lose 2 life. And I would pay a black and some mana for a 7/6 and 2 life. Also, the ability for a green and 2 to take it out of your graveyard to gain 5 more life, maybe buy you a turn for you more setup or whatever, is huge. This card in those Delve decks with Exhume and other reanimate effects is going to be a serious problem in Pauper, I believe. And I'm going to be honest with you, my Pauper deck, which I normally play as White Weenie, if this thing hit the battlefield, I don't know what I would do about it. I'm just being honest. And, yeah. My flyers ain't getting past it either. We're just going to put that out there. So, this could be a mistake. Other cards with the same problem are these little fellas. It of the Horde Swarm and a more pressing / devastating card, the Abundant Maw, being commons makes them insanely powerful. Again, being they both can emerge. You know, you can sacrifice a creature to make the casting cost cheaper. If you sacrifice a creature that's 2 mana, this thing is now a 5 mana 6/4. The It that Merge is a 5 mana 4/4 that comes in with 2 insects. It can be very problematic, especially when these cards start chaining into each other. As you know, once you get one emerge creature on the battlefield, you can start sacrificing emerge creatures into emerge creatures and do things like make a bunch of 1/1 green insect tokens, then have 1 4/4 left so you can, I don't know, pump your team and come across the finish line. Or with the Abundant Maw, which is going to be the serious issue, this is basically Siege Rhino for Pauper. If you didn't play when Siege Rhino was legal, let me explain to you what Siege Rhino was. It was an Abzan card, a black, white, and a green, and 1, to make a 4/5 trampler that when it came in, your opponent lost 3 life and you gained 3 life. Now, with that being said, this doesn't trample. However, it's also a 6/4. And again, when you start emerging this into Abundant Maw after Abundant Maw after Abundant Maw, you're basically for 1 black bolting your opponent and gaining 3 life. And when you start chaining all these kind of cards into something, that's going to be quite the issue. if you're on the other side of this garbage fire of cards that are about to hit the battlefield and literally kick you in the John Thomas. I'm just saying. So, with Abundant Mob being probably the biggest problem, we can't overlook things like the Horde Swarm as, all these could get out of hand very, very fast. With all that, Urza land and stuff. Jesus. Anyway. So, with all that said, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you crossing the game table. And may we all pray for Pauper. Sweet God.